I had a car accident with my boyfriend's first love. I lost my sight and she suffered a bone fracture. However, at the corner of the hospital, I heard my boyfriend's voice as he was on the phone with his elder brother. Brother, in my name, please take care of Luna for me. She's lost her sight. Since our voices are the same, she won't notice the difference. I'm taking Jasmine abroad for an operation. You know, she can only rely on me now. His first love asked him, are you really so at ease leaving your girlfriend in your brother's care? Ryan laughed and said, both my brother and she are very traditional people. They won't do anything out of line. Hiding in the corner, my lips trembled and 2 lines of clear tears rolled down my cheeks. Ryan? How did he know that I liked his brother? When he came back to China and wanted to propose to me, his brother Javier hugged me and smiled with an ambiguous look. Your sister-in-law is already showing her pregnancy. Haven't you gotten over it yet? I suddenly received a call from Ryan at 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a lot of noise on the other end, and it was his friend speaking. The other person's voice was anxious. Ryan got into a fight with someone at the bar. Come here quickly. Then he hung up. Although I didn't know what use it would be for me to go there, I still got up from bed immediately, put on a coat, and went out to take a taxi to the bar. I searched for the box number sent on my phone one by one. As soon as I pushed open the door, the mixed smell of cigarettes and alcohol hit me. Seeing me arrive, the music in the box paused. Ryan was sitting on the central sofa, surrounded by everyone like a star. She really came just with one phone call. Look, she even came in her pajamas. She's really affectionate towards Ryan. Jasmine was holding a glass of red wine and reproached Ryan with a coquettish look. Ryan, you're really something. You don't know how to cherish a beauty at all. I told you to trick her into coming, and you actually did it. Facing their ridicule, I acted as if I hadn't heard it and just stared at Ryan. Seeing that he wasn't injured, I let out a sigh of relief. I muttered, are you okay? It's good that you're okay. Hearing my words, the people around burst into laughter again. She's really a bootlicker. There's such a silly girl. Ryan, does your girlfriend have a best friend? Introduce one to me too. I was still holding the hangover soup in my hand. I walked around them, put the hangover soup on the table in front of Ryan, and said softly, you guys have fun. I won't disturb you. Just as I was about to leave, Ryan suddenly reached out and pulled me onto his lap. His breath smelled strongly of alcohol. I tilted my head back slightly and frowned a little. He looked into my eyes and smiled. Are you angry? I was startled for a moment and then shook my head. No. They were right. I was Ryan's bootlicker, and I had been Ryan's bootlicker for 6 years, from junior high school to high school. I was always at his beck and call and obedient to him. I brought breakfast for Ryan every morning, sent water to him on the basketball court, and ran errands to buy milk tea for his newly dated girlfriends. From junior high school to high school, as soon as I opened my eyes every day, apart from studying, it was all about Ryan. I thought Ryan would go abroad after graduating from high school, and then I could have a peaceful life when I went to university. Who knew that Ryan actually went to the same university as I did? And he even confessed his love to me. Well, maybe it couldn't really be considered a confession. He said, Luna, since you've been chasing me for so long, let's be together after graduating from high school. His friends around were jeering, wow, a bootlicker finally gets everything in the end. Luna is really amazing. This is the first time Brother Joe has taken the initiative to say he wants to be with someone. Not far away, Jasmine was standing aside, and her look when she glanced over was ambiguous. I didn't expect Ryan to want to be with me. I felt my whole body go stiff, and I didn't know what expression to use to respond to Ryan. I said I needed to think about it and then ran home as if fleeing. I didn't know if I had been too much of a bootlicker, making Ryan think that I liked him. After I got home, my dad excitedly told me that he had been promoted from deputy manager to general manager, and his annual salary had increased by $1 million. My mom came to my room and hinted, saying that Director Zhou asked me to keep an eye on Ryan and not let him fool around every day. Then she increased my monthly allowance by 10,000 yuan. Later, when Ryan came to ask for my answer, I agreed. I thought I wouldn't lose out. Ryan had girlfriends constantly from junior high school to high school, and none of them lasted more than a month. I thought I would be dumped soon too. Moreover, because of Ryan, my family's economic condition could be improved to a higher level. I had been waiting to be dumped. But unexpectedly, I had been in this relationship for 2 years. Later, I found out that the time he confessed his love to me was just because he was angry with Jasmine. He didn't like me that much, at least in my opinion. He hadn't broken up with me probably because he thought I was cute and obedient, and the breakfast I brought every day suited his taste. His relationship with Jasmine had always been very subtle. They were so familiar with each other that they had been bickering since they were born until now, but they often quarreled. He would make Jasmine so angry that she had a stomachache, and then he would ask me to send stomach medicine to her dormitory in the middle of the night. And when they made up, he would ask me to buy the cake she liked at the school gate. They broke up and got back together again and again. and I seemed to be just a part of their game. Sometimes Jasmine would often ask Ryan, if I and Luna fell into the water, who would you save? Ryan put his arm around my shoulder and said casually, of course I'd save my girlfriend. Why would I save a tomboy? How dare you not save me? You're dead. Jasmine was so angry that she chased after him to hit him, and I just stared at Ryan's side face, silent. He pinched my cheek and smiled, what, are you touched? I didn't say anything. Because I knew that Ryan wouldn't choose me, my premonition came true soon. On the way that Jasmine drove me to do the summer social practice, there was a heavy rainstorm, and the windshield wipers were working vigorously. Suddenly, a car at the intersection accelerated crazily and rushed towards us. Jasmine's car was hit to the side by the violent impact. My head suddenly hit the car window, and my head felt like a bell that had been struck, shaking and dazed. A sharp pain came. There was a roaring sound in my ears, and everything in front of my eyes became blurry black and white. I felt a sense of fear and uneasiness in my heart. I vaguely saw Ryan pounding on the window crazily. He pulled the car door open forcefully. Ryan. I called Ryan's name weakly, however, Ryan bypassed me and carried Jasmine out. Jasmine was crying and hugging Ryan's neck, and Ryan lowered his head to comfort her. Ryan was holding Jasmine and didn't even look at me. I struggled to hold on to my consciousness and raised my hand with difficulty to grab Ryan's clothes. Only then did he notice me. He said to me, Luna, the ambulance will be here soon. Hold on a little longer. My sports car can only seat 2 people, and she's more seriously injured than you. After saying that, he carried Jasmine and left, leaving me alone in the car. Suddenly, I felt an unprecedented panic. The light in front of my eyes gradually disappeared. At the moment when I fell into a coma, I really wanted to shout at Ryan's back as he was carrying Jasmine. Actually, I could have crouched in the trunk. I woke up but it seemed like I didn't. There was a smell of disinfectant around me. But I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black. Why was there no one around? I felt extremely uneasy inside. I got up and stumbled forward while groping around. There seemed to be a wall in front, but I couldn't feel anything when I touched it. When I thought there was nothing in front, my foot was tripped by something. Finally, I managed to walk out of the door, and I finally heard Ryan's voice. I pressed myself against the wall and tried hard to move closer to the source of the sound. Jasmine, don't cry. It's just a bone fracture. How come you've become as weepy as Luna? Jasmine choked and shouted, I have such a big wound on my face, and my leg is broken. I won't be able to get married in the future. Will you marry me? I heard Ryan's voice soften, it's no big deal. If you can't get married, I'll marry you. I'll accompany you to the United States for the operation. I promise that both your leg and your face will recover as before. Jasmine asked, what about your girlfriend Luna? I heard Ryan reply casually, I'll call my brother and ask him to take care of her. My fingertips that were holding on to the wall turned white. Soon Ryan dialed his brother Javier's phone number. Brother, can you take care of Luna in my name? She's lost her sight. Since our voices are the same, she won't notice the difference. I'm taking Jasmine abroad for an operation now. You know, she and I have been together since we were kids. She can only rely on me now. My breathing became rapid. Ryan had put the phone on speaker. After losing my sight, I became especially sensitive to sounds. It sounded like there was a meeting going on at the other end of the phone. After a while, a voice that was similar to Ryan's but with a more refined quality came through. He said, okay. But don't regret it. Getting the affirmative answer, Ryan laughed easily, thank you, brother. And I swayed a little, my fingertips gripping the wall tightly. My lips trembled, and 2 lines of clear tears flowed down. Ryan? How did he know that I liked his brother? There was actually such a good thing. Was this the reward for all the years I had been mistreated by Ryan? I was excited and my heart was pounding. I carefully made my way back to the ward along the wall by feeling it and covered myself with the quilt, waiting patiently for Javier, Ryan's brother, to come and pick me up. In Jasmine's ward, she asked Ryan, are you really so at ease leaving your girlfriend in your brother's care? Ryan laughed and said, both my brother and she are very traditional people. They won't do anything out of line. I know their characters best. Jasmine looked at him, it seems that you don't like Luna very much. If Luna finds out that it's your brother, let's see if you can still laugh. Who said I don't like Luna? I'm just going to accompany you to have the operation first. When I come back, I'll make it up to Luna. She's soft-hearted. I can easily coax her. Jasmine wrapped herself in the quilt and turned her back to him, I'll just wait for you to mess up. I remembered the first time I met Javier. It was in his villa halfway up the mountain in my sophomore year of high school. Ryan was having a pool party there. I wasn't from their circle, but Ryan invited me. I wanted to find an excuse not to go, but Ryan directly stuffed me into the car. I thought such a big villa surely wouldn't mind having one more servant. So as soon as I got there, I found a corner to do my homework. After finishing my homework, I didn't see that they had ended the party, so I found another place to sleep. When I woke up, I found that it was already midnight, and Ryan and the others had already left by car. Ryan had forgotten about me again. I considered myself unlucky, crouched at the gate of the villa with my school bag on my back, and wanted to use my phone to call a taxi to go home. The weather was changeable, and soon it started to drizzle. I hugged my arms and huddled up. The location was too remote, and no one accepted my order. I couldn't get through to Ryan on the phone either. Just as I was thinking about how to get back, someone walked towards me with an umbrella. I looked over. There were a pair of black leather shoes, straight and neat suit pants, and a tightly fitting suit jacket. As he walked closer, the black umbrella in his hand tilted towards me. I looked up. The man was very tall, a few centimeters taller than Ryan. He had deep-set eyes, a high nose, thin lips, and an introverted and deep temperament. He looked 5/10 similar to Ryan. He should be Javier, Ryan's elder brother. Are you Luna, Ryan's classmate? The man spoke, and his voice was deep and pleasant. Although he had an air of superiority and an upper-class posture, there was no sense of coldness or looking down on others in his eyes. His eyes looked at me very gently. I nodded and wanted to stand up, but I had squatted for too long and my legs were numb. Javier patiently extended his hand to me. He was completely different from Ryan. His behavior was like that of a gentleman. I borrowed the strength of his hand to stand up and almost fell into his arms. Fortunately, I managed to control myself, or it would have been too impolite. Javier let me stay in the villa for the night, and he also sent me to school the next day. Since that day, I always dreamed of him. I wanted to get into a good university so that when I could meet him again next time, I could look more presentable. But things didn't go as planned. In university, I got together with Ryan. Although I had more chances to meet Javier, I didn't dare to look up at him as boldly as I did the first time. In the hospital ward, the doctor told Javier that the oculomotor nerve was damaged due to a head injury. Fortunately, it wasn't serious and could recover slowly. I wanted to go home to recuperate. I didn't like the smell of disinfectant in the hospital or the depressing environment at all. Your parents are on a business trip and took your younger brother with them. There's no one to take care of you if you go home. Would you like to stay at my place? Can I take care of you, Luna? The voice was clear and gentle, with a magical and calming charm that could bewitch people. I was slightly stunned and slowly nodded. Ryan would never call me Luna. My palms were sweating in the dark, and I could even smell the woody perfume on Javier. He should be dressed just like when we first met, wearing a well-tailored shirt paired with custom-made black trousers, nodding and smiling at me with great refinement. Joe, I subconsciously wanted to call Javier and almost gave myself away. Fortunately, Javier interrupted me. You can call me by another name. Call me Javier. Probably Javier was also afraid that he would give himself away when I called him Ryan. The tips of my ears felt a bit hot, and I called out to him in his direction, Javier. But inside, my emotions were in turmoil. Javier held my hand and led me out of the hospital, carefully guiding me into the car. After getting in the car, I found that I might have some kind of stress disorder towards cars. Suddenly, the car took a sharp turn, and I couldn't keep my balance and fell to the side, landing on Javier. I was very nervous and didn't know what was happening. My heart was beating faster, and my hands tightly hugged his waist. Javier patted my back soothingly. Don't be afraid. It's okay. It's just a turn. Shaoli, drive slower. He smelled clean and nice, which was very reassuring. It was different from the smell of cigarettes and alcohol on Ryan. Since Javier had promised to take care of me as Ryan, then he was my boyfriend now. I thought darkly, let's have a secret love affair with Javier like this. My mobile phone vibrated at an inappropriate time. I handed the phone to Javier and asked him to check it for me. I couldn't see now and didn't even know how to use the phone. It's a call from your mother. He answered it for me. There was cheerful music coming from the other end of the phone. It seemed that they went to Disneyland with my younger brother today. Luna, how's it going with Javier today? Can he arrange for you to intern at his family's head office during the summer vacation? Mom, I had a car accident on the road today. I'm temporarily blind and probably won't be able to do the internship during the summer vacation. My voice choked up a bit as I said that. The other end of the phone sounded a bit anxious. What about Javier? Was he also in the car accident? Is it serious? I opened my mouth slightly and was stunned for a while before answering. He's okay. It's okay then. You should build a good relationship with Javier. Before I could finish listening, Javier took the phone away. Auntie, didn't you hear? Your daughter was injured in a car accident. Instead of caring about your daughter's injury, you're concerned about whether the young master of the Ryan family was injured. Javier's tone was calm, but there was a coldness in it. Luna was injured. Luna, how are you now? The voice on the other end of the phone sounded a bit embarrassed. I sniffed and was about to answer when Javier answered for me in advance. How hypocritical. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Javier looked at me and asked, will you be angry that I talked to your mother like that? I shook my head. I knew that Javier was standing up for me. I had been used to my parents' neglect of me for so many years. Suddenly, a warm big hand covered the top of my head and stroked my hair. It doesn't matter. I'll always be by your side from now on. My heart was pounding, and uncontrollable joy welled up inside me, but then I suddenly felt a bit downcast. Was he saying this while playing the role of Ryan? Javier set my mobile phone to the blind mode and taught me how to use it step by step. When we arrived at Javier's place, he showed me around the layout of the room and the toiletries in the bathroom. When I was walking, I bumped into the corner of the table, but it didn't hurt as much as I expected. I felt it curiously and found it was soft. It was anti-collision sponge edging strips. The furniture in the room was all wrapped with sponge strips, and there were also anti-slip mats in the bathroom. Javier was so careful, and he was also very efficient in getting things done. No, it should be that his subordinates were efficient. Maybe he just casually mentioned it, or perhaps it was one of his careful subordinates who suggested it. I was very happy living here. Fortunately, it was the summer vacation. In 2 months, my eyes should be able to recover well, but I was worried about another problem. If my eyes recovered, I would have no excuse to stay at Javier's place anymore. Here, Javier would hold my hand and take me downstairs to have meals. He would carefully pick food for me and say goodnight to me before going to bed. I couldn't help but recall the warmth of his palm when he held my hand and the smell of him when we were close. Suddenly, a thunderclap in the living room startled me. My hand shook, and the glass in my hand fell to the ground and shattered, making a sharp noise. Javier heard the sound and quickly came out. "Are you okay?" Javier quickened his pace and walked towards me. I crouched down nervously, my hands groping randomly in the air, and I was a bit anxious to clean up the fragments on the ground. "Sorry, I didn't mean it." Just as my hand touched the ground, it was grabbed by Javier. Suddenly, my body was lifted into the air, and I exclaimed. Javier carried me to the sofa. "Don't say sorry. It's just a glass. The broken glass will be cleaned up. Don't touch it with your hands next time, okay? You might get hurt." I looked at Javier blankly and opened my mouth in a daze. I'm afraid of causing you trouble." "How could that be, Luna?" My ankle was grasped by a big hand, and I could feel his body temperature on my skin. Javier crouched in front of me, holding my ankle, checking whether it was scratched by the splashed glass. Suddenly, another thunderclap rang out, and I couldn't help trembling. I wasn't really afraid of thunder. I just had a constitution that was easily startled and would always be scared by sudden noises. There was the pattering sound of rain outside the window, along with the rumbling of several muffled thunders. "Afraid of thunder?" He noticed my trembling. I clenched my fists, wanting to be bold for once. Taking a deep breath, I said, "You said you're my boyfriend. Then can you sleep with me tonight?" After saying this, I regretted it immediately and was on the verge of crying. Javier was just kind enough to take care of me on behalf of Ryan. How could I even think of asking him to sleep with me? I'm so shameless. Javier was such an upright and noble person. How could he agree? "Okay. Don't be afraid. I'll stay with you all night tonight." I was stunned. He actually agreed. The shameful tears in my eyes were about to fall but just stayed there in my eyes. I felt a bit hesitant again. But I had already been carried to the bed by Javier. He held me in his arms. Javier leaned against the headboard. I hugged his waist and rested my head on his chest. "Go to sleep. I'll always be here." I had a good sleep quality. Holding the person I liked, I fell asleep quickly. It wasn't Javier's bedtime yet. He took his iPad to browse through tomorrow's work schedule. A WeChat message popped up. It was a voice message from Ryan. Javier put on his headphones. "Brother, I've arrived in the US. The weather forecast said there would be a thunderstorm in City A tonight. Luna is afraid of thunder. Now that she's blind, she'll surely be even more scared." Javier looked down at the sleeping side face of the girl resting on his chest, and his hand around the girl's waist tightened. "Don't worry. She's sleeping soundly." Ryan was still chattering and sending voice messages. "Brother, you don't even know." I was so surprised when I first found out that there was someone who was afraid of thunder. One time during the evening self-study, a sudden thunderclap made Luna tremble all over, just like a frightened rabbit. "Brother, how can there be someone so timid?" Javier frowned slightly and typed, "Knowing that she's timid, you still left her behind." The voice on the other end obviously weakened, but I couldn't just ignore Jasmine either. "Brother, could you take a picture of Luna now for me? I didn't expect that after just a day or two without seeing her, I kind of miss her already. Fortunately, I asked you to stay by her side instead of me. Brother, if it's not convenient for you, you can take the picture during the day. Since you said so, I'll send it to you later." Ryan on the other end of the phone saw the photo sent by his brother. He looked up at Jasmine, who was doing leg rehabilitation training. He quietly left the room, took out his phone, clicked on the photo and enlarged it. In the photo, there was only the side face of the girl. The hair on her forehead was messy. She looked so quiet and gentle when she was sleeping. So cute. Ryan muttered to himself. He long pressed the photo to save it. He enlarged the photo with his fingers and was a bit puzzled. Why didn't Luna's pillow match her bedding? It was a dark color. Oh, you're such a lovesick fool. You still can't forget your little sweetheart even when you accompany me abroad for surgery, Jasmine mocked as she leaned against the door. Ryan handed the photo to her. Look, Luna has lost weight without me by her side. He came to a conclusion. Sure enough, she really loves me so much. Jasmine took the phone and looked at it for a while, then couldn't help laughing. Congratulations. Your girlfriend is going to have a husband. Look at the fabric she's resting her head on. It's obviously men's pajamas. Ryan snatched back the phone angrily. Impossible. Don't I know what kind of person Luna is? She's even too shy to let me hold her hand. Besides, this is a photo taken by my brother. Everyone knows that my brother is cold as ice when it comes to relationships. Luna is staying at my brother's place. Maybe she got my pajamas from somewhere and is just missing me when she sees it. After saying that, he took another deep look at the photo and stroked the side face of the girl in the photo with his hand. Jasmine's mood was a bit complicated. To cover up the sadness in her eyes, she sneered at Ryan. I hope you can always be so narcissistic. It was within Javier's expectation that Ryan didn't notice that it was his pajamas in the photo. He didn't want to expose himself so quickly. He didn't want Luna to know that he was so dark inside. As long as he could stay by her side, it didn't matter in what identity. In my sleep, I seemed to hear Ryan's voice in a daze. Was he going to ask me to bring him hangover soup again? No. He had already gone abroad with Jasmine and wouldn't come to me anymore. I let out a sigh of relief. Suddenly, my parents' words echoed in my mind again. Luna, Ryan's father likes you very much. Even if it's not for our family, you should try your best to please Ryan for your younger brother's sake. Do you understand? One must be obsequious and tactful in dealing with others. Mom and Dad have spent so much money on cultivating you and sent you to such an expensive school. You should build good relationships with your classmates. All these will be your connections when you enter society in the future. Especially Ryan, who is like a young master. A single word from him can decide the life and death of our family. You should flatter him as much as you can, Luna. Our family depends on you. My brows furrowed deeper and deeper, making it hard for me to breathe. Someone wrapped me tightly in their arms and smoothed my furrowed brows. So warm. Oh, I was at Javier's home. There were neither Mom and Dad nor Ryan here. Here, I didn't have to please anyone. I could be myself. Although it was only for a short while. But I'll escape for as long as I can. I felt that my eyes were gradually recovering. They could sense the light source. Javier also installed an elevator at home to make it convenient for me to go upstairs and downstairs. However, after the car accident that caused my blindness, it was as if I had separation anxiety. After Javier went out to work, I would feel extremely anxious when I was alone at home. I felt terribly lonely, as if I was cut off from the world. I was afraid that I would never see Javier again, that Ryan would come back, and that my relationship with Javier would become as strange as before. Hearing the sound of the car engine, I immediately took my blind cane and went to the door to wait for Javier. Do you have a headache? I heard from Aunt Zhang that you hardly ate anything during the day. Javier led me to the living room. I hesitantly told him that I hoped he could take me out with him when he went out tomorrow. Javier agreed. The next day, Javier took me to his company and put a pair of sunglasses that could block light on me. The secretary was also very careful. She helped me download a novel listening app and prepared snacks and fruit plates on the table. She also helped me put on the earphones. But Javier stopped her. Play the sound out loud. Don't wear earphones. She hasn't recovered from the concussion yet. Okay, President Javier. The secretary took away the earphones and adjusted the volume to a proper level for me. Just like that, while Javier was working, I was listening to the novels about overbearing presidents. When I was listening to an interesting part, I was interrupted by a phone call. I groped to answer the call. It was the monitor of our class. Luna, why didn't you reply to my QQ messages? Are you free now? Could you help me make a form for new students' enrollment? I knew you were the best. I'll bring you the specialties from my hometown when school starts. I was still scratching my head and thinking about what to say. Someone took my mobile phone and answered for me. Sorry, classmate. You should do your own things. Our Luna is not convenient now. Javier hung up the phone for me. You should learn to say no. Refusing others is not a shameful thing. Your life is not meant to please everyone but to be kind to yourself. Learn to express dissatisfaction and bravely say no to those unreasonable requests, you know? I was stunned. It was the first time that someone had told me these things. Since I was a child, it had been very difficult for me to smoothly refuse others, even when their behaviors made me feel very uncomfortable. I always thought that maybe if I kept tolerating them, they would finally realize my kindness and then give me corresponding rewards. But in fact, it wasn't like that. They would only become more demanding and keep asking for more. but I already didn't know how to refuse. I secretly encouraged myself that next time when I encountered such things, I would definitely be able to learn to refuse others. It was the weekend, and Javier was resting at home and staying with me. I just woke up from my afternoon nap and found that I could vaguely see objects in front of me, a bit like cataracts, as if there was a layer of white fog in front of my eyes. I happily ran downstairs to find Javier. I saw Javier's back in the garden. I ran over and hugged his waist from behind. Javier, the smile on my face froze. The smell was wrong. He wasn't Javier. That man held my hand. Luna, can you see now? I froze all over, and my blood seemed to freeze. It was Ryan. Why did he come back? Why did he come back so soon? Couldn't he live a good life abroad with Jasmine? Why did he come to me again? I didn't want my peaceful life to be disrupted by them again. Luna, are you still sick and haven't recovered? Why don't you say anything? What could I say? Could I say please go back to Jasmine and I want to continue living like this with your brother? But I was so cowardly. Javier was just taking care of me for Ryan. I had already troubled Javier a lot. I shouldn't expect too much. Fortunately, Jasmine's rehabilitation training hadn't been completed yet, and Ryan had to rush back in the evening. I let out a sigh of relief when I was lying in bed. I hoped that Ryan could accompany Jasmine for a few more days. In the evening, I took the medicine and went to bed unusually early. Suddenly, I felt a hand touching my face. It was an unpleasant smell. I subconsciously frowned and dodged. The man's fingertips stiffened for a few seconds. He watched beside my bed for a while and then left. When I was half asleep and half awake, the mattress beside me sank slightly, and there was a rustling sound from the pillow. It was a familiar fragrance, clean and with a slight bitter woody smell. The man's strong arm wrapped around my waist and pulled me into his arms forcefully. He buried his face in my collarbone, took a deep breath to adjust his emotions, and his throat choked slightly. Something warm slid across the side of my neck. I seemed to hear Javier saying in a daze in my dream, Luna, don't leave me. Could Javier in my dream also cry and be afraid that I would leave? Wait. It didn't seem like a dream. I turned around and pressed my forehead against Javier's. I put my hand on his face and touched something wet. Javier, why are you crying? Oh no, I called the wrong name and gave myself away. My heart raced like a child caught lying. Luna, have you always known that I'm Javier? I could only nod stiffly. I was extremely uneasy and my heart sank to the bottom. I had known from the very beginning that he was Ryan's brother, but I still regarded him as my boyfriend and did some intimate actions behind Ryan's back. I even looked down on myself for doing this. What would Javier think of me? Suddenly, a soft and wet touch came to the corner of my mouth. Tender kisses fell, affectionate and lingering. I opened my eyes wide and my breathing became rapid. I seemed to suddenly lose all my senses, leaving only the touch on my lips. Great. It seems that I'm not being sentimental on my own. What did that mean? Did it mean that Javier liked me? My mind was dizzy. It couldn't be possible. I was so ordinary. But then I heard him say, Luna, I've liked you for a long time. I was so dizzy from being hit by these words. I checked again and again to make sure it wasn't a dream. When being confessed to, my first reaction was to escape. My palms were sweating, and I was so nervous that I didn't know how to respond. What should I say? Javier chuckled. Say that you like me too. I was stunned. Yes, I did like him. What on earth was I afraid of and trying to escape from? Be a bit braver. I burrowed into Javier's arms and hugged him tightly. I like you too. My ears felt hot. The next day, I edited a breakup voice message and sent it to Ryan. The general meaning was that I hoped he could be with Jasmine well and that it was over between him and me. I didn't know if my proposing the breakup first would hurt the young master's pride. After all, no one had ever dared to dump him before. But if I didn't propose the breakup, I didn't know when Ryan would bring it up. I didn't want to play this game with Ryan and Jasmine anymore. After sending the message, I finally did something that I had wanted to do for a long time. That was to block Ryan. After blocking Ryan, I felt refreshed. Finally, no one would call me in the middle of the night. After doing these things, I called my parents to tell them that I had broken up. Otherwise, they would always ask about my relationship with Ryan every now and then. On the other end of the phone, my mother, who had been laughing and playing with my younger brother, suddenly had a tough tone when she heard my words. Did you agree? I'm telling you, Luna. You mustn't agree to break up. You must cling to Ryan. You don't even know how many people envy you for dating the young master of the Ryan family. When you marry into his family, it will be. I interrupted. I was the one who proposed the breakup. I knew my mother would be furious and scold me for being ungrateful and not thinking about them at all, but I just had to say, I'm already an adult. I don't like Ryan at all. Why should I listen to you and please him? I'm not happy when I'm with him. I'll make my own choices in my life from now on. After venting, my hand that hung up the phone was still shaking. I took a deep breath. It felt so good to say these things. I had been so aggrieved before. Javier was right. I should have learned to say no earlier. After a while, my mother sent me a text message. My mother was very angry. Luna, if you don't find a way to get back together with Ryan, don't come back home. Since I was a child, my only use was to get involved with the Ryan family, right? These days, whenever Javier was free, he would take me to have acupuncture. My eyes were getting better day by day. It's just that they still couldn't bear too strong light. In the evening, I would go out for a walk with Javier. We held hands tightly and wandered aimlessly. We chatted casually, and we could even talk about a strange stone. Even if we didn't say anything, the silence wouldn't make us feel embarrassed. We just enjoyed the synchronization of our heartbeats at this moment. In my opinion, taking a walk with the person I liked was actually an intimate and ambiguous thing. Doing ordinary little things with the person I liked would make me feel extremely happy. The atmosphere was just right. I stood on tiptoe and kissed him under the street lamp. Javier smiled and hugged me. Suddenly, he paused a little. Javier, what's wrong? I was a bit puzzled. Nothing. The wind is strong at night. Let's go home. Not far away, Ryan clenched his fists tightly, and his joints made a creaking sound. Luna had never called him like that. He just realized in a daze that it was Javier. So Luna had called his brother that day. Luna had mistaken him for his brother. Brother, you like Luna? He said this through gritted teeth, as a statement. Just realized it now? Wasn't it obvious before? Brother, I trusted you so much, but you actually stole my girlfriend. Ryan was furious. When you sent me the photos last time, was Luna in your bed? It was me in her bed. Javier corrected. Ryan completely lost control. You knew clearly that she was my girlfriend. She's your younger brother's girlfriend. Javier sneered and asked in return, what about you? You knew clearly that your girlfriend was injured and blind, yet you went abroad to accompany your first love. Did you ever think that she was your girlfriend? Ryan became dispirited and said, brother, since we were kids I've never competed with you for anything. I can give up everything. I just want you to give Luna back to me. Javier was somewhat amused. Ryan, have you ever respected Luna? Have you ever treated Luna as a human being? In your eyes, is she something that you can discard whenever you want and get back whenever you like? Javier slightly bent his index finger and middle finger and tapped on the table. Besides, since we were young, what could you compete with me for? Whether it's the company or Luna, it all depends on one's abilities. Ryan, feeling both angry and ashamed, swept the things on Javier's desk onto the floor. Luna likes me. As long as I come back, she'll come back to me. You're so confident. Do you think she'll come back to you without any grudges after being abandoned by you again and again? Compared to Ryan's discomposure, the older Javier seemed much more emotionally stable. Brother, I trusted you so much. Javier? I heard a lot of noise coming from Javier's study. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Ryan trying to hit Javier. I knew that Ryan definitely couldn't beat Javier, but I still trotted over to protect Javier. I glared at Ryan. It was okay that he liked to fight and cause trouble outside, but he even wanted to hit his own brother. Luna, listen to me. I didn't mean to deceive you. If I had known earlier that my brother liked you, I would never have let him take care of you in my place. It's my fault that I let down your feelings for me. Now that I'm back and I know I'm wrong, I can pretend that I didn't see the text messages you sent. Luna, let's start over. I was completely confused. I thought that after I sent the breakup text message, it was over between Ryan and me. After all, he was such a face-saving person. I didn't expect that he would come back to China to look for me. I've never liked you. Why are you angry? Didn't you never like me either? Ryan swayed a little. That's not the case. I do like you. During the days abroad, I became even more certain that I liked you and I even bought a ring. Ryan quickly took out the ring. If you're willing, we'll get engaged. I'm serious this time. She's not willing. Javier hugged me in his arms. Your sister-in-law is almost showing her pregnancy. Haven't you gotten over it yet? I lowered my head and looked at my stomach. Where was the sign of pregnancy? No, my face flushed red. I hadn't had that kind of relationship with him. I said to Ryan, the person I've always liked is your brother. I've already broken up with you. You'd better recognize your own feelings earlier and be with Jasmine properly. Ryan was still persistent. I've already recognized my feelings. I like you, not Jasmine. Are you just saying this because you're jealous? I promise that I'll keep a distance from Jasmine in the future. Luna, could you please give me another chance? But I just looked at him calmly and then shook my head. It was the first time I saw Ryan so dejected. Finally, Javier asked someone to come up and escort Ryan out. Since I broke up with Ryan, perhaps he couldn't bear the loss of face and was really depressed for several days. People kept calling me, asking me to go to the bar and take the drunk Ryan back home. At first, I patiently explained that I wasn't his girlfriend anymore. Later, when there were too many calls, I directly set it to block unknown calls mode. But after all, he was a playboy, and soon there was a new girl by his side. Luna, I don't have to be with you. He hugged his new girlfriend and showed off their affection in public. Great. I let out a big sigh of relief. Perhaps my expression was too obvious, as a trace of heartbreak appeared in his eyes. Ryan let go of that girl and walked towards me with red eyes. He grabbed my hand. Luna, don't you have a heart? How could you just say you don't like me anymore? I admit that it was my fault to leave you in my brother's care, but didn't I already apologize to you? What else do you want? I know that my brother just said you were showing your pregnancy to make me angry. I've never thought of breaking up with you. I do like you. That girl was just an actress I hired. Luna, why won't you give me a way out? A crowd gathered outside the classroom to watch the fun. It's like the real-life version of The Man Who Chases His Wife only to end up in a desperate situation. We can't miss this. So the young master also has his downfall. I pulled my hand back. Staring into Ryan's eyes, I said word by word, I'm not making trouble. The breakup is real, and so is the fact that I don't like you. You say you like me, but I've never felt it. I don't want to play the game of playing house with you and Jasmine anymore. The person you should be with is Jasmine, not me. I walked around him and went out. Where are you going? I turned around. My boyfriend is waiting for me downstairs to go home together. Your boyfriend? Who is it? Your brother. I looked at him frankly. Javier. I walked away without looking back, leaving a group of classmates whispering among themselves. Damn, the plot is so exciting. Oh my god, then Javier, Ryan's brother, is the real young master, right? Ryan, the former campus hero, has turned into the second male lead. Don't you know Javier, Ryan's brother? He's a rising star in the business circle and has been on the latest list of the richest people. When can I be the female lead? The crowd dispersed, and Ryan was still standing there alone. After my parents found out that I was with Javier, the eldest son of the Ryan family, they came to me with smiles on their faces again. Luna, if you had told us earlier that you liked the eldest son of the Ryan family, we wouldn't have forced you to be with Ryan. Your mother and I were a bit tough on you, but it was all for your own good. Since you were a child, when it comes to material things, have we ever treated you badly? Yes, Luna, you should understand our good intentions as parents. Which parent doesn't hope that their daughter will marry well? I didn't say another word and politely showed them out. Family affection can't be cut off, and the kindness of raising me can't be repaid either. But I won't obey them blindly anymore. I'm no longer the obedient girl that they can manipulate at will. I won't give them a good look because once I have contact with them, they'll attach themselves to me like leeches and ask me to pave the way for their son. Don't even think about it. Later, I heard that Ryan and Jasmine got together, but they quarreled frequently not long after that. Finally, Jasmine was so disheartened that she went abroad to study, and Ryan didn't even try to stop her. On that day, I received a text message from Jasmine. Among all of Ryan's women, you're the only one who made me feel threatened. Thinking about it carefully, I've been quite childish over the years. The vicious female supporting characters in novels are probably written based on me. I was wondering why you were so tolerant. It turns out that you've never loved Ryan. I really admire you. Maybe you're the most sober one among us. Now that I've hit a dead end and finally know to cut my losses in time, I'm also going to look for my own life. You don't need to reply to this text message. Unless something unexpected happens, we probably won't meet again. Wish us all a wonderful future. Javier noticed my gaze and put down the documents in his hand. What's wrong? I threw myself into his arms and expressed my love. I love you so much. Javier chuckled softly. Well, I love you. So happy. Extra story, Javier. He received a call from his playboy younger brother while in a meeting. Originally, he didn't want to answer it. When he was about to hang up, he accidentally answered it. Just as he was about to hang up again, he heard Ryan's voice on the other end of the phone. Brother, could you take care of Luna for me? Hearing this, the corners of Javier's mouth slightly curved up. He made a gesture to pause the meeting, stood up, and walked out, leaving a group of company employees looking at each other in confusion. What was going on? President Javier had always been able to hide his emotions, but he actually smiled just because of a phone call? Brother, are you willing to take care of Luna for me? Yes, he replied. On the surface, he looked calm, but his hand gripping the phone was trembling. What a wonderful thing. The end.